Welcome. In front of me I have a motherboard running a DDR3, and today I'll just give you a quick demonstration, instruction and information about inserting a RAM. So for everybody who's maybe building a PC and does not fully know what to do. So I'm using DDR3, like I mentioned, but this logic and process works exactly the same, or almost exactly the same, between any other DDR RAM like 2, 3, 4, and 5, at least at the time of recording this. If maybe DDR6 comes out, who knows, it could be different, but there is no such a thing just yet, so it all works about the same. Now, one thing to mention, DDR3 does have these clips on both sides that you basically flip open and close, while DDR4, if I bring it closely in here, has only one side right here, while this does not flip open anymore. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, in here, I'm going to touch upon correct installation of a RAM when you have a motherboard with 4 spots for RAM. When your motherboard has only 2, this will not really apply here. It's kind of redundant, what I will mention right now, because either your RAM you will use both of the spots and your RAM is running in dual channel, or you'll just use one of them and it's just fine. But here, it has a little bit more importance which spot you occupy when you have 4 or more spots. And the general consensus is you want to utilize the spots, if you're using only 2 sticks, or maybe even 1, that are further from your actual processor. So you can see this one. So this RAM right here, as it came to me, was not inserted correctly. Also keep in mind there was only 1, so it didn't really matter, and it was used for mining, so it also didn't really matter all that much. But for a typical computer that you'll be using on a day-to-day basis, for instance for gaming or stuff like that, you'd want to place this single stick of RAM right here or here. But specifically on this motherboard, you would be using the white spots. So you can see there's white and there's blue ones. So this one will be fine, this one will be fine. The blue ones not so much, but obviously you will get away using them anyway. Now some motherboards might have it set differently, so I would recommend consulting your manual for your motherboard, just to make sure that your manufacturer of the motherboard didn't like swap them around, and for instance for your motherboard it's just better to use this one instead. I did check out for this one specifically, it had no mentions which spots you should take, so I am assuming the default, which is further from the CPU. And if you're using 2 sticks, you just occupy, in this case, now this is not a RAM stick for this. DDR4, again, not for this. This one maybe? Okay, so this one is DDR3. There we go. So I would be then occupying this one like so. As you can see, they're basically spaced out with a space in between each one of them. So that is the correct placement of RAM. And like I said, this will apply to basically any kind of motherboard in the future as well, at least on the time of recording it. With DDR5, logic is still the same. Also, if you have 8 spots, so 4 here and 4 on the other side, which motherboards like that also exist, then still same logic, further from CPU. And to plug it in the RAM correctly, if you haven't done this before, at least here, like I mentioned before, we have 2 spots that flip open. Sometimes you'll have only 1. It really just depends on the motherboard and also which RAM you're using, but if you don't know, just try to flip both of them. If they open up, great, do so. If they don't, then I would start off with the first closed one and just obviously slide in these gaps right here, your RAM stick. So it goes down. As you can see, it's not in fully, so just kind of like laying there. And from there you want to push it in. So if it doesn't open, or if it opens, start off from the bottom right here, push it in, and you want to just kind of look at this one. If you have one that doesn't open, you will hear a click. Here you will also see it and hear it. That was the click. And obviously you want to do the same thing at the top. Push it in. Another click, and it's in place. And even if you try to take it out right now, it will not come out. So you push the button in to actually release it, and then you can pull it out. Anyway, just close it back up. And like I said, if you're using 2 sticks, you just do the same thing right here. Again, click, click. You want to make sure that it clicks in place. So if you're not sure, if you didn't hear that click, I would then push it more, or if it doesn't really want to go too much, I would literally release it again purposefully and then try to push it again in place, trying to hear for the click. As you can see, there was no click right now. It's almost in place, but not just quite yet. And there we go. So there we go. Hopefully that video did explain to you just the basics on inserting RAM, and also how to place it in correctly when you have more than 2 spots for it. This is usually a bit of a misconception when building PCs, where people don't really realize it. They just use whichever one as closest, or whichever one looks best, which for the best performance, it's not what looks best, it's not the best for performance. But anyway, with this being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.